Big right hand by Mayweather. It's just a matter of how much more of this could he take. 3, 4.
Openings from a distance.
That right hand is landing very accurately now from Sambrano.
Nice short left.
Was landing the clean, effective blows. Then as the round goes on, here comes Margarito with this sort of accumulation of punches where eventually he started penetrating and landing his shots. Rough round to score.
There's her dreaming down the left eye. That may have been caused by that right. Belts away from Andrew Maloney. Oh, he snapped his head back. Franco does damage to Maloney. Of Andrew.
How's it going, y'all? Carlito here, back with another video on your screen. I'm here with Trevor, man. He's a big time trainer and coach, and he side by side, you know, with H20, you know, Ashton. He's doing big things out there in California, and they're taking over the game in California. And I can't wait to get a chance for y'all to meet him, talk to him, and you know, show him that respect. How's it going, bro? How's everything going in training and everything?
You know, we're in Southern California. You know, training is a lifestyle. It's all over the place, and with that in mind, we're always busy, and we're always running around. What happened? I'm sorry, I got a call that came in. Was that still on the screen?
No.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Did I black out for a second?
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah. Yeah, but in Southern California, we're always running around all over the place all the time. So it's definitely, I would probably say here in Vegas is the epicenter of boxing in the world. At least, you know, in the United States. I haven't been over to Europe, but well, I did go to Europe one time for a fight in the UK. But yeah, it's nonstop here. Every day you're in the gym, probably between 10 in the morning until 8 at night. And, you know, especially as a trainer and as a fighter, you're probably in the gym 3 to 4 hours a day. So there's always training going on, and we're always trying to keep the momentum healthy.
For real. So, you know, what's the big names that you've had the honor to work with in boxing?
You know, I've been very blessed. I was trained by a former world champion. His name was Gennaro Chicanito Hernandez. He had 39 wins, 1 draw, and 2 losses. His most notable loss was to Floyd Mayweather at Floyd Mayweather's 17th fight. So Floyd won his first title against my trainer, and he also had a loss against Oscar De La Hoya. But, you know, he had 14 title defenses. He was an incredible fighter at 130 pounds. After that, I had the opportunity to work with Jesse Reed. Jesse Reed had 23 world champions. I was his apprentice for 2 years. Gosh, he had some incredible people that he worked with. He worked with Roger Mayweather, Orlando Canizales, Hector Camacho, and Johnny Tapia. And, you know, just thinking of those names out of the 23, some of those guys were head cases, and there could have been no better man to work with them than Jesse Reed. After that, I had a short term when I worked with Joe Goosen. Working with Joe Goosen, he had 17 world champions. People obviously know him from Michael Nunn. You know, he had not the Worthless, but the Ruelas brothers, and he brought them all the way up. So, I mean, he's also a lot of big names. People see him on PBC all the time. And as far as me training, you know, I've worked with a lot of different fighters. I think one of the guys that comes to mind is Malik Scott. That's when I was very young in my training career. I was with Malik when he fought Derek Chisora for a title in Wembley Arena in England, along with Jesse Reed. And then just a lot of young talent coming up. So even with Ashton is absolutely trained by his father. He's been trained by his father from the beginning. What they did is very magical with Ashton Sylveh H20. His dad didn't come from boxing, and in some ways it worked out because he wasn't being limited by the constructs that get placed on boxing. So he had a very avant-garde sort of approach to it, and he trained the son and ended up, you know, being 10 years later, just absolutely one of the youngest phenoms that I've ever seen out there. And I say that, you know, wholeheartedly, because I even if I had nothing to do with him, I mean, the kid is he's just, gosh, it's a breath of fresh air. It's amazing to watch, and he has a completely different cerebral approach at it at that level, and he's matured beyond his years. Other fighters that, you know, I've had the opportunity to work with Isaac Brave son. I'm forgetting Isaac's last name, but a former world champion. And so, I've got a lot of other kids that I'm working with. Lawrence King comes to mind. Tate Beltran, Javion Cardinal, all the H2O guys, Hess, Amir, the Pharaoh. So I got a lot of guys that I work with, and it's exciting.
Man, bro, that's amazing. And like everything that you've been through in your career, the boxing part of it and promoting part of it, promotion, training. What's the biggest moment of all of them together that you would always hold with you?
I think that what Ivan, the other trainer at Jack Rabbits, and I did, Ashton Sylveh's father did, just I never, believe it or not, just turning a bunch of kids that were amateurs pro. And I can't remember when it was, but it was a year ago. And I think we had 6 of them at a card that were all debuting. And, it's moments like that. You get so wrapped up in the accolades of a professional fighter or a professional trainer with your professional fighters that you're always, I'm sure when I have my first world champion, that's going to be another moment. But just to see all these young kids that we started and debut and go out there and get their first wins, and we won 6 fights, although it's just a small glimpse. Some moments can be very sentimental because these kids, I've known these kids for a long time. I've certainly known them for the majority of their lives. So to have those kids go out there and win their first bouts, when you're a young guy growing up, you see a professional boxer, you see a professional fighter, it's something that is special. And there's always those moments where you're thinking, as a young fighter, could I go pro? Do I have the chops? Do I have what it takes to go pro? And sometimes it's very complicated with the belief systems of a fighter because they want to believe in themselves, but until they have that moment where they go pro, they take off the headgear and they walk out to music and they've got the custom trunks and they're underneath the lights and the small gloves are on. That's a big hurdle. They go out there and they do what they're supposed to do, which all those kids did. To me, that's just one of the favorite moments that I've ever had. Even with amateur fighters, Ivan and I used to take some of the kids from Jack Rabbits, and we won best team in 2019 at the Olympic qualifiers because all of our kids went to the finals and all of our kids won. It's things like that. It isn't. I'll be honest. Having a fighter on TV is an incredible feeling, which I've had happen. But having a fighter as a main event at a place like Wembley Arena, which I've had that happen as well. It's great, but it feels like work as far as when the heart is involved. Those moments with the kids that you've really raised in the gym that you get to see that they're having. There's something special about it.
That's great, man. That's real. That's real. And it's kind of like, living in the moment right now, right?
Yeah.
And kids grow. And so when I was working with, H2O, the promotions, tell me about that. Like what goes into that? Who's actually the, who owns it? Is it
Ashton's the CEO of HO Promotions. He's obviously the youngest CEO in boxing. There's a motto out there. He's definitely taking responsibility of the trajectory of his career. And he's a young man with a big, bright future ahead of him. As far as day-to-day operations with HO, HO is we're kind of in a unique position because we have a lot of young talent. And so it's kind of like, an NBA draft. If you're drafting tomorrow's Kobe's or LeBron's or Jordan's, it's not what they're doing the year of the draft. It's what you can see them doing in the next 5 to 7 years. The guys that we're involved with, we're definitely nurturing them to a point when they do get to a position that when it's time for them to get on in front of everybody else, that you're going to see why we nurtured them. And you're going to see that all come to come out as the outcome of hard work and discipline and work ethic. H2O Promotions day-to-day operations is like no other gym, because we're not just training him there, but we have conversations about them, about their social media. We have conversations about really difficult heart-to-heart conversations that we have to have with fighters. Sometimes we have to tell a fighter, hey, you're not sturdy enough, and you're gonna have to start taking your body more serious and being more thorough with the way that you're preparing for a fight, being more maybe on top of your strength and conditioning, and also knowing that if you're not taking the best shot, that you could be preempted by boxing more, or making sure that you don't get yourself in a position of a shootout. So I think that's really unique. The guys that are running the promotion companies, it's being ran by a fighter. And Ashton sits in, and it's being ran by trainers, which is Ivan and I. So it's a different thing. Typically, you don't have everybody in the same room in a promotional company. You got a matchmaker. The matchmakers are dealing with the trainers. The promoters half the time, they don't really know who to invest in besides who the matchmaker is telling them or who the trainer is telling them. We have that all underneath the same roof, and it's definitely an anomaly, and it's a great sort of model to have. So
That's real dope, bro. To be able to talk with someone on that caliber is really dope. And what's one thing that or what's the biggest thing that you're working on now? Is there a big event coming up?
I think it's very difficult to go out there and say what the biggest thing is, because this is something that I'd actually heard Manny Robles say. He talked about that he treats every fighter the same. So as far as an event, if I have a fighter that's fighting in Mexico, or we have we're supposed to have a fighter on the Canelo undercard for the show with Saunders, but it fell through at the last moment. The truth is that we have to apply the same amount of intentions to both events.
Yeah.
Because you just never know. You never know when someone is going to, what their ceiling is going to be. And when you're it's like if you're watering a garden, you can't just pay attention to the one flower that's already developed more than the others. So as far as things going up, we're just excited that COVID is coming to an end. We're excited that California is starting to open up, that the nation as a whole is starting to open up, and the world's starting to open up, because like you, I'm sure we're all a little starved for our boxing, and we want our fighters on those showcases that everybody's familiar with. That being said, we've had talks with PBC, and there's been talks with DAZN, and we haven't really reached out to anybody at a little bit with Golden Boy and so forth. So sorry about that.
Oh, good, bro.
So we definitely we're definitely in that mindset. So
that's excellent, bro. And it's just like, being able to I'm being able to see where boxing is right now and where it's going. It's a great time to be a boxing fan. I can only imagine on how it feels to be, a boxing trainer, boxing promoter, boxing coach, all that. Like, it's probably it feels amazing. And
yeah, well, I think it's I really feel like the fights have came back. There's talks that boxing was dying, but even with something like this event that's going on this weekend with Logan Paul Mayweather, I don't always support something like that, but I think it's great that you have a bunch of new eyes coming to the sport of boxing, or even being curious about who the best boxers in the world are. So listen, anything to bring boxing back, to make it bigger and bigger. Canelo just did 74,000 tickets at Arlington in Texas. When you hear some of these other, obviously for Dana White, guys like that come out and say that boxing is dead. Hey, people lie, numbers don't, right? Canelo just did 74,000 tickets in Arlington. I'm not saying that UFC can't do it. They've got an incredible fan base, but what a hell of an accomplishment that just got done by Canelo and those guys over at DAZN and Eddie Hearn. So, I mean, it's great to be in boxing right now. I really feel like there's